Video games have had a ton of incredible leaps in gameplay, storytelling, and mechanics over the years. Today, I want to not look at what makes games so incredible, but instead look at the things that can be annoying in games. So today we're going to talk about 7 things in games that most of us should be able to relate to as annoyances. If you do end up relating to any of this, feel free to tell me down in the comments below what of these annoyed you, if not all, because I would love to see if anyone relates to this, or if maybe they have a different opinion on it. And since you're already down there, why don't you go ahead and push that subscribe button, like the video, and hit that notification bell to keep updated on when I post new videos. Thank you for the support. I appreciate you very much. Starting with point number 1, let's start this off with a problem that isn't really that much of a common occurrence anymore, but used to be just absolutely devastating to sit through. And that would be loading screens. These are a fundamental part of playing games, but for whatever reason, there is nothing more annoying than sitting through 10 seconds of a loading screen. It's dumb too, because I grew up in the era where loading screens could take up to 5 minutes to load the next area. But now, if I see a loading screen from frame 1, I am just aggravated at the audacity of this game to load. Like, how dare it try to load all of its pretty assets and graphics that make this game a technical marvel. I just can't believe it would slight me on this. This gets especially annoying if you ever accidentally enter a building that you didn't mean to, and now you have to sit through a load screen just to enter the building, to have to turn around and exit the building because you didn't mean to enter it, and now you're sitting through another load screen. But upon exiting, you misclick thinking you're going the correct direction, but instead accidentally hit the wrong direction and walk back into the building, sitting through another load screen, just to have to turn around and walk back out of the building, which puts you from load screen to load screen to load screen to load screen. Surely someone can relate to this, and this isn't just a personal skill issue, right? Right? Moving on to point number 2, speaking of reoccurring animations and screens, let's talk about death. Death screens and animations are some of the most common assets used in video games, and almost every single game ever made has them. I'm sure there was already someone thinking they're super hilarious and original, typing down below, "This is a skill issue," or "get good," but ignoring them. The worst thing is when you die and you have to sit through a death animation, which usually only takes a few seconds. At first, these are super fun and interesting to see what the developers cooked up, but they get annoying when you have fought a boss 100 times and you see the same animation over and over again. Like, there's only so many times I can sit through a Batman villain roasting me for getting caught due to my impatience and doing everything incorrectly. Like, I know I'm doing things incorrectly and I should slow down and probably do things properly, but that doesn't mean you need to roast me for it 1,000,000 times. This also used to be worse. Back on the PlayStation 2 in Kingdom Hearts 1, there was a certain fight where you fight Riku. And if you were to die in this fight, you not only had to sit through a death screen animation, but you also had to sit through a 2-minute unskippable cutscene. Real KH heads know what I'm talking about. Luckily, we are nowhere near there now. But even the 5-second death screen still hurts me to my core to sit through. Which brings me to topic 3. Speaking of things you are forced to sit through, how about unskippable cutscenes? I love cutscenes in games. They often display the emotions of the story that cannot be told through gameplay alone. The only problem is if I have seen this cutscene before, and I don't want to watch it again. I brought up the Kingdom Hearts 1 cutscene before because it was such a problem that it traumatized thousands of people who had to sit through the exact same cutscene. Like, it was so bad that to the point that you could probably walk up to one of them and ask them about it, and they would start lightly sweating, if not start quoting it word from word. It is I, Ansem, Seeker of Darkness.
Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness.
Yeah, that just hit trauma for some of you. The reason this was such a problem is that the fight was pretty hard, and the controls were quite clunky, meaning you would die several times before beating him. And this is the PS2, there is no easy mode, and there is no way to change your difficulty. So as an 8-year-old, I saw this cutscene hundreds of times, and that's because you couldn't skip the cutscenes. The problem with it is that it really broke immersion to sit through that cutscene over and over again, to the point that it caused resentment and frustration towards the game. Not enough that I don't still love the game, and it is my favorite game series of all time. But even so, that's me. Other people could be turned away from the game forever. They fixed this in the release of the game in the form of the collections, which allowed skippable cutscenes on every single game. But that doesn't heal the scars that were caused from the original PS2 version. Now, this isn't as much of a common occurrence in modern times. Most games allow you to skip cutscenes now, but going back to replay old games still tends to be a painful experience. Speaking of painful experiences, and point number 4, which is the inability to pause certain games. I understand why multiplayer games do not allow you to pause the game. Doing so would ruin the experience for other players. But explain to me why, when I'm playing a single player game that happens to have some multiplayer elements, I can't pause the game. Looking at you, FromSoft. Let's use Elden Ring for example. Elden Ring has an online version of the game where when you play it, other players can help you in the form of you summoning them to help you clear an area or fight a boss. Other players can also interact with your world in the form of invasions, where they invade your world and attack you in PvP. This can happen at any time throughout your story while you are trying to explore the world. This makes sense why you can't pause this in the online version. But Elden Ring also has an offline version, where other players cannot interact with you. So explain to me why in that version of the game, I can't pause the game. No one can invade me, I can't summon anyone else into the game, so no one's dependent on me to be able to move around, or for themselves to have autonomy in that situation. So why can't I pause the game offline? There's a way to pause the game through basically pulling up tutorial menus, but it's not a real pause. That's basically finding a way to exploit the system, which was never meant to be paused that way. And this isn't a problem that just Elden Ring has. Almost every Souls-like has this problem, because all of them have slightly online multiplayer elements. So even when you play solo, you still aren't allowed to pause. And it's not just Souls-likes that are like this. Survival games tend to have the same problem, because they also have multiplayer elements. But if I'm playing solo, I should be able to pause it because I'm not with anyone else. An example of this is Minecraft. If you are playing with others, obviously you can't pause the game. But when you're playing alone, you also can't pause the game, which is a problem if I want to walk away. So instead, in both game types, you have to find somewhere safe to hide where you won't get attacked. Otherwise, you could die while you're paused and away from the game. And it is unnecessarily frustrating to try and find a safe area to walk away when you're playing solo. Speaking of needing to find something, this brings me to point number 5. How about the inability to save the game without a save point? Most games allow you to pause the game and save wherever you are whenever you want to. But some games rely on save points instead, just to make your life more artificially painful. We've all been there, where you get near the end of the game, or you're deep in an exploration zone, and real world is calling. You need to walk away from the game to handle your real life responsibilities. Problem is, you don't have a save point, because this game relies on save points, meaning you can either pause the game and walk away, hoping that nothing happens to the game in your absence, such as a power outage, deleting a ton of progress, or you just straight up shut it off and also risk losing a ton of progress, hours in some cases. This is another occurrence that was more common in older games, so we don't see it as much now, but some games still use the system, such as Kingdom Hearts, Resident Evil still does this, and Nier Automata also is known for this. This is another instance of unneeded frustration that can leave a bad taste in someone's mouth and a bad interaction with the game, especially since in modern games, most of them allow you to pause whenever you want to and save wherever you are manually, which allows you the freedom to walk away at any point throughout the game, knowing that you will continue right from where you left off without the fear of losing any progress. On the topic of not being able to walk away, this brings us to number 6. How about not being able to walk away from a game due to being at the end of the game? Now, I am a sucker for cinematic finales in games. The majority of my favorite games have very big cinematic finales, but it is very annoying when you have to slot 2 hours of your time into the day just to be able to finish a game. And I know this because my favorite games do this from the developer Square Enix, which is notorious for doing this sort of thing. The Kingdom Hearts games and Final Fantasy games have always had a point of no return, where they have to warn you in writing that once you go past this, you are at the end of the game. Now, they have to do this because once you pass it, there is no going back, and you are locked in for the rest of the game. A prime example of this is the last mission in Final Fantasy XVI, which takes roughly 90 minutes to finish. 90 minutes. It is an incredible and cinematic ending to a game, where it genuinely is like playing a movie, but you need to have an hour and a half to just sit and finish the game with no interruptions. This is just too long for the average person. Which brings me to my last point, number 7. Open world games, or rather, the vast abundance of open world games. I love open world games. Skyrim sweeps you into a fantasy adventure where you truly feel like an adventurer discovering the secrets of the world. Kingdom Hearts 3 had large open world spaces that allowed you to explore the environments of Pixar movies in detail as if it was straight from the movies. The Fallout games make you feel the loneliness of the apocalypse while also having goofy scenarios like aliens abducting you. Survival games like Minecraft allow you to form the open world to your desire, allowing it to become your digital home. But despite all this, there are way too many. Every game that comes out wants to have all of your attention, not allowing you to play other games. You must dedicate all of your time to one game and one game only, which is even harder to do now when every game that comes out is a large open world game and they're all competing for your time and attention. Even the games that are considered shorter due to today's standards still require a large amount of your time. Final Fantasy XVI takes roughly 35 to 40 hours of playtime to beat the main story and 70 to 80 to complete everything the game has to offer. God of War Ragnarok takes 26 to 28 hours to beat the main story and 50 to 60 hours to 100% the game. These are two games that have smaller open world-like maps that you travel in between and intend for you to spend your time enjoying the main story and fill the side content with stuff that is worth your time. Larger games with true open worlds can have the same problem, if not an even bigger problem. Elden Ring can take anywhere from 40 to 100 plus hours to complete, not including the DLC. Baldur's Gate 3 takes around 75 to 100 hours to beat the main story, and more than 200 hours to try to complete all side content. These make the main story and all side content interesting to flesh out the world with lore. Then there's the games that want only your time, but don't want to give you something to spend it well. Assassin's Creed Valhalla takes roughly 60 to 70 hours of gameplay to beat the main story and 150 plus hours to complete all side content. Most of the side content is there to make you keep playing and not necessarily for your enjoyment. I have played all of these games to completion, and that is why I can say this with confidence. I have always loved the Assassin's Creed games, but the last few, the main stories were enjoyable, but all the side content just felt like it was pointlessly running around. None of these things that I've listed even include MMOs, survival games, or free-to-play live service games, which require you to dedicate your life to it as if it was a job outside of your job. They want you to go from your 9 to 5 to your 5 to 9. Even the games that are relatively short, such as Final Fantasy XVI and God of War Ragnarok, are too long for your average person not having the time to sit and complete games of this length. Especially as attention spans seem to be dropping exponentially, it's no wonder why people are running to more live service games and away from story games. I will always love story games, and I will always play story games. I will always shout from the rooftops that story games are the superior type of game. But sometimes there's just no time to invest in a good story. Sometimes you just have enough time for one match and a battle royale. I find that as I invest more of my time into YouTube, I lose out on more time to play the games that I love and want to love. Life stays busy and it becomes harder to enjoy the things that I used to do regularly. And a lot of this is simply because games just get longer. Some games like Uncharted 4, you can beat in 6 hours, and in fact, if you do so, they reward you with a trophy for doing it. The only way to platinum Uncharted 4 is to beat the game in under 6 hours. Now, you're lucky if you can beat a game in under 2 weeks. That's me, but I want to know about you. Do you feel these same things that I feel, or is there something unique to your experience? Am I crazy for having these thoughts that I have, or do you feel similar? I bet the majority of us probably feel the exact same way, but please tell me in the comments below how you feel. I would like to have a conversation with you down in the comments, and I will. If you look at any of my other posts, I talk to my comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please press the like button. It tells me that you enjoy this content, and it tells YouTube that you enjoy this content and that more people would like to see this video. So it'll push it out to more people. And if you enjoy this content and want to see more content from me, please subscribe to the channel. And if you hit the notification bell, it will tell you every time I upload a new video. Thank you for the support. I appreciate you very much. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next one. See ya.